This is Crimson Corner, a podcast about all things Alabama football. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or the Google Play Store. Now, let's talk Alabama football with your host, Brad Mason and Jamie Thomas.
This is Crimson Corner with your host, Brett Mason, Jamie Thomas, where we talk all things Alabama football. War Eagle, buddy.
Roll Tide, roll.
If this is your first time listening to our show, I am the resident Auburn fan. My buddy Jamie is the Bammer. He can't help himself. And somehow we managed to talk about Alabama and Auburn football all year long. We are a part of the Brett Mason Media Network. You can follow both podcasts at brettmasonmedia.com. We are a service of Southeastern Football, located at southeasternfootball.com. The iOS and Android app is up in the App Store. Just search for Brett Mason Media, and you'll have access to all the podcasts there. I know the last time we did the show together, it seemed like it was getting close, but now that we're doing another Alabama show, it seems like it isn't any closer, just to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm so ready. I'm so ready for football. I'm tired of baseball. I've been tired of the NBA since they tipped off what seems like 29 months ago for this season. Hockey just doesn't do it for me. We kind of got preseason NFL to look forward to, but good grief, man, I'm ready to see some real hard-hitting college football.
When they stretched the NBA season out, when did they do that? Like 10 years ago or something? It just never ends. It's like, all right, I had enough of that already.
It seems like it ends in June and starts again in August.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of it.
Well, we're closer than ever. It's just around the corner. Summertime officially started. That means we have one season to get through. We just got to get through summer. College football will be here. There are some things going on, though, in the world of Alabama football. I guess, first of all, we'll get to the issue with Cam Robinson and the other player who were, I think it was back in May, they were charged with a couple of different drug-related charges that were subsequently dropped, and we found out a little bit more about their punishment and stuff.
We did. They were dropped. I guess I'm probably one of the few Bama fans that doesn't completely agree with those charges being swept under the rug like they were. But, I guess as Coach Saban would say, it is what it is. The charges have been dismissed. The university is catching a lot of flack over this. Coach Saban's been catching a lot of flack over this. And I guess it's mainly because, everybody thought there wouldn't be any punishment set down. But for people that don't know, Robinson and Hootie Jones have both been indefinitely suspended. And what they've been given to get back on this football team is it's a pretty big task. On top of the community service, they're both assigned, I believe, 20 hours of community service a week until fall practice starts. Cam Robinson is doing 26 hours of ride-along with the Northport Police Department, which, I think he says he has to attend gun safety education twice a week, meet with mental health consultants who have to sign off on him. Hootie Jones was sent to a 21-day drug rehab program. And on top of that, they're having to go through counseling, appear with, do monthly video appointments with the health consultants and weekly urine tests. So it's not like, Saban is just letting these guys walk back onto the field and be a part of this team. They're going to have to earn it. Of course, had the felony charges gone through, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Those guys would be in jail. And, we'd be playing ball without Cam Robinson this year. But he's got a pretty hefty task to actually get back on this football team, to get off of this suspension. I do expect him to be suspended probably at least one game, whether or not that's the opener against Southern Cal or, is the following week, I think, against maybe Western Kentucky or Kent State or one of those. But this is going to be a tough summer for Cam Robinson. I can almost assure you. He's going to get very familiar with the bleachers at Bryant-Denny also.
I tell you, all the Auburn fans that listen to the show are just chomping at the teeth for me to flail into you right now. But I can't do it. I think, if all that is straight up, man, I think that's pretty good. I think I'm pretty comfortable with that. You and I talked when this first came out about were those charges excessive or not. I mean, they probably would have never been, it probably would have never gone through as a felony. They would have pleaded it down to a misdemeanor, so it would have never have been a felony, I'm pretty sure. And honestly, I think probably what they would have wound up getting from the state would have not been much worse than what they're getting from the team. So the only difference is it would have been on the record, and now it won't be on the record. I want to jump on Saban, and everybody in Tuscaloosa is going easy on their players and get everybody getting a free ride. But I may feel better about it than you do, actually.
I don't think any part of Saban's program is easy. Those guys work hard. We've seen what kind of mentality he has. We see what Coach Cochran does as far as pushing those guys in the weight rooms and in the training. So by no means are they sitting back every day and having a grand old time. Yeah, they're playing football. They're getting their education paid for to play football. But I promise you, this is not as much fun as what it seems like it is.
I just know that kid has a bright future.
Potential number one pick.
Yeah, and I hope he takes this opportunity and runs with it, man. You never know. Again, the last time we talked about this, I said the same thing. I'm all for giving these kids a chance because you just mess up as a kid, man. You just do. It doesn't matter who's working with you or how stern they are or whatever, but it's what you do after it that matters. And I've been fans of a lot of players that messed up and came back. So I'm hoping for the best for the kid, even though he doesn't play for my team, man. He's fun to watch,
Yeah, hopefully this is what allows both of them to get their life back on the right track. And like you said, kids will be kids. They do stupid things. Whether or not he knew the gun was stolen, still he was riding around in a car smoking pot with a stolen handgun. That's just not good. He needs to understand that he can't put himself in situations like that. Not now, not in the future, without it jeopardizing, his ultimate dream, which is to play football in the NFL.
All right, let's talk about the thing that's got you really fired up, and that's the talking heads picking, as I understand it, and I completely missed this, but you say the talking heads have not only picked LSU to win the West, but to win the SEC.
This is the first year that I've actually purchased the ESPN magazine, Brett. And it stuck out to me because on the cover is number 7 from LSU, Leonard Fournette.
Right.
Of course, they're predicting Fournette. He's, deserving of Heisman mention already. Him and McCaffrey from Stanford, they are probably going to be the best 2 running backs in college football this year. But then I flip through and I see that they have LSU ranked number 1 in the Power Index. And then I get over to their playoff forecast, and they have Oklahoma 1, LSU 2, Clemson 3, and Washington number 4.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, these are the 4 teams. They're saying Oklahoma and Washington in the Fiesta Bowl, LSU and Clemson in the Peach Bowl, and of course LSU going on to beat Oklahoma for the national championship is what they're predicting. Yes, we are starting with a new quarterback again, which hasn't made a whole lot of difference the last couple of years.
No, it's not really mattered all that much at all, to be honest.
We lost some players on defense, but Bama's not rebuilding. They're just reloading and getting ready to go after it again. So where is the respect for the defending national champions?
Oh, boy, I'm so torn on this. I want to go after you over the respect thing because every year this is the Alabama thing. We don't get no respect. We don't get no respect. And y'all are picked to win it almost like every year. It doesn't matter who the team is. But maybe it's based on the schedule. I mean, a lot of that has to do with who gets the home game between the two when they're both predicted to do well. And I think LSU gets the home game this year, right? But I'll tell you, if you look at the history, Jamie, I think Alabama's won it 4 out of the last 5 times over there.
They have. And looking at schedules, last year they did play at Alabama, but they had a 3-game stretch. LSU was 6-0 going into the 3-game stretch against Alabama, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. And it's 3 games they got absolutely ran off the field in. Bama beat them 30-16. Arkansas beat them 31-14, and Ole Miss beat them 38-17. This year, Brett, they have almost that exact same run. They play, and this time it's in the order of Ole Miss, Alabama, and then Arkansas. I don't see really how LSU is that much improved. I mean, they've got a quarterback coming back that's now got a year up under him, and Brandon Harris, but he didn't do anything to impress me last year. They do have what looks like about 8 starters total coming back on offense, But if you remember the first 6 games, I mean, really, it was the Leonard Fournette show. I mean, he carried the ball 300 times last year to almost 2,000 yards, scored 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, but when he lost his lead blocker, he was exposed. Remember that?
He was.
It happened in one game, man. He went from being unstoppable to being, well, he's a pretty good guy, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. He's certainly not unstoppable, though.
No, he's not unstoppable. I mean, we saw some crazy stuff against Auburn, but I think that was really more of the
well, come on, man.
the lack of tackling ability by the Auburn defense at the time.
Come on, who remembers the pirouette ballet jump through the air to try to tackle him from the neck? I mean, what? Come on. Yeah, no, that game don't count.
They're going to be pretty good on defense. That's kind of another stat that stood out. From 2014 to 2015, they actually, instead of improving, there was only one statistical category on defense that LSU improved on, and that was they were number 7. They went from 45th to number 7th in rushing defense, but they fell off defensively in every category from 2014 to 2015. So it's just baffling to me, trying to figure out here what has changed so much, with LSU, that all of a sudden they're predicted to win the West. They're going to play for the national championship. They're going to beat Oklahoma to win the national championship. Now, we know what kind of history LSU has. They're a great program with a great football team and a wacky, great coach. But I just don't see it happening.
Well, let's don't forget that their coaching situation started to unravel last year, too. I wonder how much of that's going to carry over into this year.
If Les Miles loses 2 or 3 games this year, can he make it? Or will he make it? Like you said, they wanted to get rid of him last year. Very similar to the Tommy Tuberville situation a few years ago at Auburn. The Jet Gate. There were several folks ready to get him out of Auburn. There were several ready to get Les Miles out. And if he loses 3 games this year, especially if he loses to Alabama again and he loses to Ole Miss again, this might be, the end of the Les Miles era. He's definitely on the hot seat. Schedule-wise, they open up with Wisconsin in Lambeau Field. That's kind of historic. It'd be the first time in forever that a college football game's been played in Lambeau Field. That's going to be kind of cool. But really, other than Wisconsin, and they should beat them fairly easy. They're probably going to start out, 6-0.
Be careful, man. Be careful what you say.
Why is that?
Come on, man. Don't completely discount my Auburn Tigers' 4th game of the season.
They're probably going to start out 6-0.
Oh, God. Me and you are not going to get along this year.
At least 5-0. We don't know what Florida's going to have yet. But then, they hit that stretch. Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas, and then closing out with Texas A&M. I just don't see anything better than, 10-2 for LSU this year.
Me and you going to be making all kinds of bets this year.
We need to.
I want to wait and see what happens in fall camp, though, before I make any bets. see what kind of vibe is coming off the plains up there before I make any kind of bets.
7-5, Brett. 7-5.
Anyway, we're not talking about Auburn. We'll talk about that next week. Let's talk about the depth chart. My big question, and it was the big question I talked to you about last time, and I know you got all the positions covered, probably a lot you're going to talk about and cover. But my big question is always the same when you lose a leader, man. Who replaces the leader? So who's your new Reggie Ragland, man?
That's hard to say. He was the beast on defense. You've got to see. You got Jonathan Allen coming back. You got Reuben Foster coming back. Those two have that not quite Reggie Ragland mentality. Reggie was just, he was mean, man. He wanted to rip somebody's head off. And when he got that in him, he could. Reuben Foster, he can hit with the best of them.
Yeah.
Whether or not he has that leadership mentality, he's going to still has to grow up a little bit this summer and this fall. And I think the coaching staff will probably be looking to him to be that guy to take Ragland's position, as far as the general on the field. And then, you've got Jonathan Allen. And then you've also got Timmy Williams. I mean, he's coming back, probably the best pass rusher we've seen at Alabama in a while, coming off the corner. He could be the guy that takes over that leadership role. Any of those three, I think, can take Ragland's spot. I don't think they'll ever be, the same caliber player as Reggie Ragland was. But I think all three of those have the potential to be, just up under that level of greatness that Reggie brought to the football field.
Well, I think you always have every team especially every offense and every defense kind of has a personality. Mm-hmm. And I just think Reggie brought that personality. And you talk about players that makes everybody else play up to them. Yeah. He was just that guy. So they got a lot of experienced guys. You just named them off. So it's not like there's no chance of it happening, but man, that kid was just really special. I loved watching him play. Even when I wasn't happy to watch Alabama play, I just loved watching that kid play.
The one thing that Reuben Foster has that Reggie Ragland had was he has the ability to change the atmosphere on the football field and in the stands with a matter of one hit. It could be going the wrong way. He lays the helmet to somebody, which we've seen him do several times. I mean, we've seen him knock Leonard Fournette back. We've seen him knock the running back from Wisconsin into next week. We've seen this guy just put some big hits on some folks, and that really fires up the whole team when a hit like that is made. So Reuben, he has that same ability that Ragland had to kind of change the way the game feels.
And your offensive identities, again, it's going to be up in the air a little bit. But what's your prediction? Are you going to have a more back in the old days where you have the tandem running backs plowing everybody over? Or is it going to be more of this up the middle, flip it outside kind of stuff we saw last year? Or?
I think it's going to be very similar to last year. We're going to have a game manager quarterback, hopefully one that it doesn't take him 6 games to be able to hit a downfield pass. I think we're going to see a whole lot of Bo Scarborough. We've got to, putting a lot on his shoulders. That dude is a 240-pound bulldozer. He's got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, he'll have the same role that Derrick Henry had last year, where he's carrying the ball 30 times a football game.
I think this is the first year to me, now I'm not an Alabama fan, so maybe you guys think about it different, but to me, this is the first year you've come into a season where your running back wasn't already kind of a name. Like, Scarborough isn't a name. I mean, I know he's on the team because we talk about him every week. But, like, when we came in with Derrick Henry, a lot of people knew about Derrick Henry. I'm not saying the kid isn't good. I'm just saying it's one of those years where it doesn't seem like you already have a big name ready to go,
Well, I think, Bo's got a big reputation to fill. He come into Alabama very, very highly recruited. I can't remember if he was a 4-star or a 5-star, but, everybody wanted him. If you saw what little bit of action, he did get last year, I think he only carried the ball about 20 times. He's a big, bruising Derrick Henry type running back. He's just, like I said, 6'2". I think they list him at 230, but he's closer to 240 on his playing weight. But he's just solid muscle. I mean, you can't tackle the guy. Everyone on the team, the defense said they hated practicing against Bo Scarborough on the scout team because he was harder to tackle than Derrick Henry. He runs harder than what Derrick Henry did. We know who Bo Scarborough is, and we know what he's capable of doing. So I don't think it's a situation is where we don't have a big-time running back. It's just the rest of the country doesn't quite yet know who Bo Scarborough is. I'm pretty sure by 2 or 3 games into the season, they will know.
Probably be some boys with knots on their heads that know.
Probably so. Those Southern Cal guys have been running their mouth, since they won that dinky bowl game they played in last year. I would imagine a few of them would be looking for the bus early.
You'll like this, Jamie. 62 days, 22 hours, 15 minutes till we find out what happens.
Is that all?
That's like 2 months, man.
I know. It's crazy. Wow.
All right, brother. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. We're going to do every other week podcast till we get probably maybe a month out. Then we're going to go to every week. And I don't know. If it gets so good, we might start doing shows every freaking day.
Hey, I love it.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next time. War Eagle, man.
All right, roll tide, buddy.
Crimson Corner is part of the Brett Mason Media Network. Online at brettmasonmedia.com. Thanks for listening to the show. If you loved it, please share with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or the Google Play Store. And roll tide.